made it to the bonus stage. I'm your host, Evan Teague, and this is your source for all things gaming. Today, we have a very special guest with us. CEO Nintendo of America, Reggie Fils-Aimé is here. Yes, I am very excited for this one. We'll be talking all things Nintendo Switch and what they plan on... What? Huh? He's not here? But what do you mean he has a scheduling conflict? How busy could the guy be? No. Hey, pull up the script for Plan B. No, that 6+ scored pretty well. Did that last week. Yes, that one. Oh, okay. Well, this is awkward. Let's try that again. Welcome, everyone. Glad you all made it to the bonus stage. Your source for all things gaming. I'm your host, Evan Teague. Now, normally I would start off the show by going over gaming news from the past week and give my take on it and whatnot. But I would like to dedicate today's entire episode to something a little more serious. I know that the majority of people who watch the show are gamers and know a lot about this industry, but today I want to talk to just the people who are not as in tune with everything that goes on in gaming. There are people on the outside, hopefully some of you are watching right now, who see gaming as a waste of time and damaging to the brain. You see stories all the time on mainstream news outlets about gamers being responsible for violent events and how technology has desensitized today's youth to what goes on in the real world around them. Look at this clip from a 2012 CNN interview after the shooting during the Dark Knight Rises premiere.
It doesn't have anything to lose, essentially. This is going to be the best thing he's ever going to do in his life. So he's probably prepared for this for a long time, just obsessing over it, gathering up his weapons, probably spending his time in his apartment playing one video game after the other, shooting, and building up his courage and the excitement of when it's going to be real for him.
As you can see from this clip, the person being interviewed just jumped straight to the conclusion that video games were harming the killer's mind. Now, granted, James Holmes was known for spending quite a bit of time playing video games, but reports show that he mostly played World of Warcraft. Now, I've never really played WoW before, but I'm pretty sure that a game about magic, monsters, and medieval-era weapons wouldn't make me want to shoot up a movie theater with an AK-47. That just doesn't make sense to me personally. I don't know about you. This is not a one-time occurrence either. Pretty much every time a mass shooting happens, the media and other outlets will try to link it to video games, even if the culprit played something as seamlessly harmless as Mario or Pokemon. In every single case where the shooter was found playing video games, they almost always were also found with some sort of mental condition or other factor that would drive them to do this. It's this kind of fear-mongering that makes people think that video games cause violence when really people are just crazy, stupid, or sometimes both. The video game industry is still relatively young compared to the music or even movie industry, so it makes sense for it to be the main target for scrutiny over whether or not the industry induces violence on consumers. But what about before the 1980s, when video games weren't as popular? For the longest time, the same kinds of outlets that were bagging on games right now were going in on rock and roll music and heavy metal music, saying that it causes people to become violent just by listening to it. Since they could not prove that, I guess video games are the new target. Because they can't just be the person's fault, right? Something else has to be blamed. I get it that it's human nature to not want to take responsibility for our actions, but blaming video games for your own stupidity is, in of itself, stupidity. And because video games are so heavily blamed for violence, there have been countless efforts to try to ban or censor games in America over the past 2 decades. Here's a clip from one of those proposed bills.
We are determined to stop a situation in which video games with pornographic and violent content are being peddled to our children. Today I'm announcing, along with my colleagues, Senator Lieberman and Bai, the Family Entertainment Protection Act. This bill will prohibit the sale of violent and sexually explicit video games to minors.
Pornographic and violent content being peddled to our children? But I thought the ESRB, which was established in the 1990s, made it so that stores could not sell M or even T-rated games to children. I didn't know that there were stores forcing kids to buy GTA. That's horrible. If only there was a way to stop these kids from getting exposed to this stuff so early. Oh, wait, there is. It's called being a good parent. Don't expect the government and other organizations like the ESRB to do your job for you. Moms and dads should know what their kids are getting into before blindly buying it for them. The internet is right there in your hand at all times. Google is more than happy to help you. It is important that kids stay away from violent and inappropriate content. I get that. But it is up to parents to make sure that your child is raised properly. They are a game perfectly suitable for young kids. Math Blaster should be the kids' inaugural experience and then work up to the Marios and whatnot from there. So if a parent can do their job right and the media actually gets their facts straight, then there wouldn't need to be laws about this in the first place. I know we'll go more in depth on how we can get there after the break. Now before the break, I talked about how news outlets and even politicians have a negative outlook on video games. I would like to dedicate the next segment to shedding a bit of light on how games are actually beneficial in order to try and sway these misinformed influencers. The main misconception is that violent video games, or even video games in general, cause violent behavior in players. Like I said before, gaming is blamed for a lot of mass shootings simply because of this idea. Luckily, there have been studies over the years that have tried to disprove that.
According to British news site The Telegraph, Oxford University recently found that a small amount of regular video game play can be beneficial for teens and children. The study was conducted on nearly 5,000 children aged 10 to 15 with varying levels of game playing habits ranging from no time spent playing to multiple hours per day. It concluded that children who spend an hour or less each day playing video games tended to be better adjusted and happier individuals. Findings explain those who played video games for less than an hour were associated with the highest levels of sociability and were most likely to say they were satisfied with their lives. They also appeared to have fewer friendship and emotional problems and reported less hyperactivity than the other groups. The study explains the games gave the kids, quote, a wide range of novel cognitive challenges, opportunities for exploration, relaxation, and socialization with peers that rivaled the benefits of non-digitally mediated forms of play. The study also mentions that factors such as family life and personal relationships tended to have a much more significant effect on a child's behavior than their game-playing habits.
Yes, a study by Oxford University showed that kids who played limited game sessions actually ended up being better adjusted and overall happier. The study also concluded that playing games for less than 2 hours every day can invoke positive improvements on a child's brain activity, including improvements in attention span, reflexes, hand-eye coordination, and more skills than kids who played for barely any, if any, games in the same period. There have been other studies that have also backed this up and even expanded upon it. But people like news anchors and politicians who have power over the general public do not see these studies, however. They only see the countless other studies that show how overconsumption of video games can harm the mind of children and people who are more susceptible to the influences anyway, like people with mental disabilities. I will not try to pretend that this is not an issue. It is. There is definitely a problem with people getting addicted to video games, but that is not necessarily the game's fault. Any form of entertainment, whether it be movies, TV shows, card games, or even something like exercising, has potential to get addicting just by how the human mind is structured. Video games are not an exception, but they are not unique in how addicting they can become if not kept in check. This is where, again, good parenting comes in. A parent should be aware of how long their child is playing games for and know that too much might cause them problems, but an hour or two a day, while they are kids, might actually cause them to grow up and be better developed than they would have otherwise. So I implore all of my viewers to share at least this segment with parents and other adults through Facebook and other means in order to spread the word about what games really are and what they can really do. And seeing how Reggie decided he had better things to do than meet with us today, I guess that's the show. And I hope you all find your way back here again, but until then, game on everyone, game on.